Good morning. Today, October 22nd, we're going to start the Highway Committee meeting. It's a little bit after 9 o'clock because we had some things we had to do with technology. Due to COVID-19, this meeting is conducted under Waupaca County Resolution Number 8, 2021, and Governor Evers' emergency orders. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted, given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so the citizenry may be aware of the time and place and agenda of this meeting. Roll call, we have everyone is here. Review and approve agenda. Is it in order, Casey, the way you want it?
This is correct.
Yep. Move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Motion by Fred Zog, second by Jim Nygaard to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes of previous meeting, October 8th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve?
Also move. I'll second it then. Let Dick do it.
Dick Rowan made the motion to approve. Lee Muck made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comment. There's nothing, no one here to make public comment. Casey, do you have anything to add here?
I just know that in the crowd here, we've got Mr. Gary Sheen, and I was told that Mr. Dave Barnick, the town chairman for DuPont, and then Gary's with the town of Union. So welcome, and we will move on.
Okay, review and approve payment vouchers.
All right, payment voucher. The first one I have is a check that got reissued to MCC. The reason we had to reissue the check is because they said they never received the original one. So wherever it got lost in the mail, the old one got cut out. We had to cut a new check for purchasing gravel and breaker run, which then got charged to Town of Wyoming, our state maintenance projects, Town of Matson, Town of Dayton, Town of Iola, our County Highway N project, Highway D, County Highway F, and the Town of Waiwega. So that's the first payment batch register for October 7th for $18,062.34. Need a motion to approve that one.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Lee Muck, seconded by Fred Zog. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just as a question, do you cancel a check or you just leave it go because it costs money when you cancel them?
I cancel it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. It's usually it costs 10 to 30 bucks or something like that, but it's part you gotta do. Okay.
Okay.
All right, the second payment batch register is dated October 16th, 2020. And I'll touch on everything that's $1,000 or more, but if you see something along the way, please ask. The first one is a bill from American Asphalt of Wisconsin for $75,812.24, charged to our bituminous account, which then gets charged out to County Highway Q. We paved just south of US 10 in front of the Falks Pit. There was some work we did for the town of Farmington, and then also some of it was for our state RMA, where we did some asphalt wedging on State Highway 161. The next invoice is from Arian Equipment for $1,309.57, charged to our stock account in Unit 125T. Next one's Badger Scale, charged to our scale systems, which is doing the annual scale inspection out of our Larrabee, Helvetia, New London, and Waupaca facilities. So it gets charged to our buildings and grounds account. That was for $1,260. Carew Concrete and Supply had an invoice for purchasing concrete, which was buckles and repairs on US Highway 10. That was for $5,760.50. ChemSearch Fuel Handling had an invoice for $3,477.09 for our fuel treatment services charged to our fuel handling account. County Materials had an invoice for $11,081.70. That's for purchasing culverts for our construction project on Highway N right now, which we've reached the end of the road. We just now need to finish the ditches, so that's a good thing. Fabric Cat had a bill for $11,474.30. Some of it, or the majority of it, was for the rental excavator we had been using out there, which that excavator is been taken back now. Other stuff was for Unit 91T and Unit 1027. Farrell Equipment and Supply had an invoice for $4,042.40. That was for purchasing the plastic culverts on County Highway Q from Bartle Road to State Highway 49. That's a section of highway we're doing next year. So we're anticipating, as we free up crews and it doesn't freeze on us too fast, that we can get the culverts replaced a year ahead of time so they can go through that frost heave cycle. Fulks Brothers Construction had an invoice for $8,200.04 charged to our County Highway Q project for gravel. And then some also went to our state RMA, routine maintenance agreement with the state. Flint Hills Resorts had an invoice for $3,079.48 charged to our stock account for tack oil. Halron Lubricants is where we purchase our DEF fluid for our diesel trucks. That was for $1,000 to our Wapaka shop. That'll end up getting split amongst all of the trucks. I-State Truck Center had an invoice for $1,124.12, and that was charged to Unit 1149 and 1151. Johnson's Auto Body Shop had a bill for $2,000. We repaired a hood on Unit 1169. MCC had an invoice, and this is for the next one, for next payment batch registered, for $33,684.88. Most of it was for purchasing gravel that got put on County Highway N. Some of it was for the Spalding Road reset project. And then some of it went to Gill's Landing for our Parks and Recs department. Mid-States Equipment had an invoice for $1,969.73 charged to our stock account and use it 981. Midwest Alarm Services had a bill for $1,230.84 charged to our buildings and grounds account. Monroe Truck Equipment out of Green Bay had a bill for $1,359.84 charged to Unit 1198, which is a new truck we're putting together for plowing. Northeast Asphalt had an invoice for $2,519.34 charged to our bituminous account, and then it was utilized for state RMA, and then we did some paving in the town of Larrabee. Palms Tire had an invoice for $1,606.82 charged to our stock account, and then unit number 5 and 617. Ryan Business Products had a bill for $1,306.17, gets charged to our administration account. Some of it was for office supplies, and then the Nook, which is the computer that's getting installed behind the other TVs. So there is, you notice Sue's area where she's working right now doesn't have wires and all of that. It's all remote right to that TV. She's not connecting to the other TV to send a signal to this one. So both TVs have their own computer that's wireless. Road Equipment had an invoice for $7,783.59 charged to our stock account, shop supplies, and small tools. Schaefer Manufacturing sold us some 5W30 oil, which then got split amongst the squad cars that we repair, change oil in. Spiegelberg Implement had an invoice for $1,452.32 charged to our stock account in Unit 1005, 117, and 966. Our water bill for this facility for the month of September got charged to our buildings and grounds account for $1,796.84. And then right below it is a We Energies bill for electric and gas for this facility for $4,950.82. Gets charged to our buildings and grounds account. Most of it was for the electrical part of it. Electricity is more than gas. Wisconsin Department of Transportation sent us an invoice for the oversight of the Highway B bridge design in Scandinavia. That's going to take place in the year 2022 for $1,167.12. Wisconsin Kenworth sold us some parts for our equipment, so we charged $1,334.81 to our stock account, unit 1166 and 1134. And that primarily concludes this payment batch register for $205,923.12.
To approve the vouchers at $205,923.12.
So move. Second.
Motion by Jim Nygaard, second by Fred Zog. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Board, question on equipment rates?
Yes, so the discussion that we had last month with just myself, and then 2 weeks ago was with Heidi. I wanted to keep this as an agenda item just to kind of bring the discussion back up to the committee now that you heard Heidi's presentation on our equipment rates that we charge out, and then using what we recover on those rates to cover enough dollars to pay for replacing that equipment. And so when Heidi ran the numbers, she said Wapaka County is significantly low on the equipment rate. We're charging 5% to our customers on our invoices for our equipment. We're under recovering to pay for this equipment. And so if you can recall, she gave a presentation that says in a perfect world, Highway Committee, you would be fully recovering enough to cover your costs of putting a shop to house all of this. And we're first seeing this because now we have a new facility, and we have to make the decision as a committee, do we want to increase the rates to kind of on our equipment that's used to our customers, which then helps cover the shop storage overhead rates to help pay for the building project. So we as a committee have the jurisdiction to set that rate. It isn't something Heidi can say what you have to do. It's up to the committee. So years and years ago, Wapaka County Highway Committee made the decision to set it at 5%. Well, as you know, in the last 2 years, we built a new facility, so that obviously the rate's going to increase. Not to the point where it's going to make or break a town or a municipality, but we're under recovering. And when we under recover on our invoices from our customers, where does the supplement come to cover that cost? It comes out of our county maintenance budget. We all know our county maintenance budget can't take a beating like it has been. So I know we're going through a lot with the admin rate and equipment rate, but we got to put it back closer to par, which was closer to that 12.75%. We don't have to go 5% to 12.75%. So I'm just using some very generic examples, and we charge ourselves this rate also. So if I took County Highway N and all of the equipment that we ran on County Highway N, we charged 5% on the invoices for that project. 5% of it comes back to help cover the costs to store that equipment. So if we were to change it from 5% up to 12.75%, just County Highway N alone would have generated about $28,809 in revenue to cover our county maintenance expenses. So there's kind of understand where I'm going with that. You use a rate on your equipment to cover the cost to store and house that equipment. County Highway N then would cost $28,000 more for that project. And I chose that one because that was our biggest job this year. It's a multi-million-dollar job. And it would be about $28,000 more to that project. Then I said, well, that doesn't affect me because I basically have this pot of money. It's either in this pot or it's in this pot. Let's pick on Dwayne Federowitz in the town of Matson and just use him in all of the work that Wapaka County has performed for the town of Matson from January 1st until October 19th, and do all of the equipment that was charged to him. If we raised it from 5% to 12.75%, he would have seen about a $4,400 increase in his in the work that was performed by Wapaka County. So the town of Matson is one of our highest spenders. So I'm thinking like some of the townships that don't spend a whole lot aren't going to see that big of a hike, but they're going to see an increase. Now we can choose to go 8%, 9%, 10% is rolling around in my mind as let's not go too high. Let's just keep it below where we're at. But anything that we under recover, we're supplementing with our county budget. So is that a good explanation, Chris? So I didn't want to do this alone, so that's why Heidi gave her presentation. That's why we can make a decision if we want to increase it, if we don't want to increase it. Are we doing too much in 1 year with admin being at 2%? Jumping equipment rate? Are these?
The question comes to my mind is if you're seeking township work and they're bidding out brush cutting and some other maintenance work, they're on pretty tight budgets too. So is it going to make a difference of losing some of that township work in the off times, or because they're bidding? I just know the guy across the road here. He's looking to it everything as cheap as possible too, and
Yeah.
And
that's
not that we're looking to get into more work that we can't get in the schedule, but we don't want to lose work either if it's help filling in the gaps. So
I think you got to do this over a couple of years' time. I
Yeah.
think you can just, but I do think we have to get to that break-even point.
we are in a business just to break even, and we are not for profit, right? And when we have to,
Breaking even, we're losing 7%, 5 to 12, right?
Oh.
So, but I don't think we need to do this. I think they got the 2% administrative this year.
yeah,
And I think next year, I think we should work to get to that 12% over a couple of years' time and make them aware of what we have to do. Last thing you want to do is say we're
Go to, like an 8.5%, Joe?
whatever you guys talk that,
yeah, I feel more comfortable taking it in smaller bites.
Yeah.
Just
to go over 3 years would be, what I mean, 2 to 3 or 4, whatever you guys want
Go
to do, would make sense.
2% a year for 3 years, that'd get you, go up six, that'd be 6. That'd be,
About 2.5% over.
well,
That'd get us there.
then go 4 years and
Oh, yeah.
go 4 years and you,
what it affects in the long term is our budget to purchase new equipment, because
Yeah.
we're just recovering less, which is a significant,
Your recommendation was to go to 8, or
I would say you're going to be 8 to 10%. So somewhere in that
we
realm,
went to 8, that's 3%, right?
3%. Yeah.
So if you went to 8, then 3 is 11, and what's it gonna be the third year? Is it still gonna be at 12, or is it gonna be a little higher or a little less?
The annual evaluation. Yeah. Because we've bought this building, now it's going to plane out.
Yep.
It
I guess let's go 3% until we're caught up. Maybe the last year to be 2% or 1%.
Motion, then we go to 8% from 5%.
No, I'll make a motion that we go 3% a year until we get to that point.
Okay.
Otherwise, we gotta
We
do
get
it every year.
do we be reviewed annually? Is
The point.
that okay?
I want to do it annually, but I was just gonna say, otherwise, we're gonna get off track.
So we raise it till we get to that point.
How would you like it stated, Casey? What would you like?
Yeah, so beginning, we're at the end of this year, beginning January 1st of 2021, the equipment rate on our invoice charges to recover our 5% jumps up to 8%. And then in 2022, it goes to 11%. And in 2023, it goes to our break-even point of 12.75 or whatever it is that time.
Get a motion to that effect?
So move.
Motion by Fred Zog.
I'll second it.
So
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
and this is also to our other departments. So this is affecting our sheriff's department as well. And they,
Use much of our equipment.
You
Yeah.
can't run a farm business at a loss.
No.
That's
No.
where we're at here.
Heidi,
My hope is that as we get to use this truck wash and equipment doesn't have to sit out in the sun and the weather, that that maybe our equipment life will be extended a little bit too with this facility, and that'll work in our favor too. So,
Heidi came to the sheriff's meeting and explained everything last week, so the sheriff was in favor of doing it like it was in the past, so there's nobody excited,
We're not going to lose business from our sheriff's department.
so everything is kosher.
Yeah, you do stuff slow and steady versus, we went boom, right to 12.5%, 12.75%.
Even though it would have affected 4,000 to the one that does the most work, it still isn't.
Yeah. All right,
Okay, moving forward, review and approve lease to own agreement for asphalt paver.
all right, as we're aware, now this is part of purchasing equipment. Last year, we took $500,000 potential construction project money, and we said we need to replace our 2003 paver. Next year, it's going to be 18 years old, and we need to do we need to replace it. It's been on the docket since I've been here as highway commissioner. It just hasn't been done. And so one thing I'd like to, we'll start off with the financial end of it. The paver from Fabric Cat would be purchased through the Sourcewell government contract for $435,000. That $435,000 is not something we can afford to do next year in one lump sum. And so we talked to Cat and said, can we lease the paver in 2021? And every month that payment applies towards the final purchase of it in 2022. And they said yes. And so right now we have about $175,000 available to apply towards the purchase of the paver next year. I would like to move forward with the contract that you see on the screen. And then we're essentially leasing it, but Cat says you're leasing it to own it in 2022. This will be our machine, our paver. It will get charged out to construction projects to recover its rate next year, or use its rate to recover its cost. And hopefully we have a nice paver that can last us another 18 years for Wapaka County. But it's a critical machine. We've been just putting on the back burner since I started here. I'm going to show a small video here of what we're looking at purchasing because I think it's interesting. And then I'm going to let Mark talk about what he wants to talk about. And we'll make a decision if that's what we want to do. So it was in our approved equipment budget. So it's not like we're doing anything different.
Okay, bear with me.
In the Google. And then the asphalt pavers. We're just going to show the video. It's a sales video, but
so does the rental payment go dollar for dollar down on the purchase price? Is there an interest rate figured in, or?
I'm going to let Mark talk about that after that.
Okay.
He set up the agreement.
That's not it. Where did I lose it? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. So maximize it and
Can you see it? Mark?
Yes, I can.
so the paver we're getting is in the bottom left. It's a wheeled paver. It's not a tracked paver. It's got a wheeler screed, which is compatible with Cat. They can put other screeds on it, but this is the Cat screed. We had volume before.
If I do that, well,
Just doesn't. That's short.
I was on-
Screeds.
YouTube, I couldn't do that.
The fuel economy is supposedly phenomenal compared to what we're burning in fuel right now on our 2003 model.
Do you get the cat gloves too with it?
What you pay for cat, you get everything.
The durability of the equipment is just so much better. It's
That's
just,
right. No.
yeah, it's
There's training that comes along with the purchase of it, so we're gonna send our guys to the training, whether it's in Minneapolis or Arizona. We need to get not only our operators up to speed on how to run this piece of machinery, but then also our mechanics for diagnostics. Comes with a warranty of 4 years. 1 year on the, what was it, the 12-month unlimited hours for your standard warranty, and then we're doing the extended 48-month or 2,000-hour powertrain and hydraulics. We did, in Shawano County, we bought a paver, and that's when the diesel machinery was going through the enhancements for their tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 engine upgrades. And it had to start and reboot before you could take off again. Basically, the engine had to burn off the emissions. So at that time, we had a brand new paver, and it said it needed to stop in the middle of a project. So I had 15 trucks backed up, loaded full of asphalt, while our paver was sitting there trying to burn off its carbon emissions. Well, they've changed that a lot more through time, and it's evolved. So yeah, ours will not have the tracks. Ours will also have the front wheel assist. So if we get in sandy or lighter soils and we need to help them front tires pull, it won't just bog down the back tires and make a rut. Ours will not have a cab.
It'll just be a canopy.
There'll
It'll
be
ju-
like an umbrella on top, just like what we currently have.
Sure. So that was the little video that I thought would make this a little bit more interesting. But Mark, if there's anything that you want to touch on, go ahead.
Yes, 100% of the payment goes towards the purchase price. There's no interest. Typically, they will never, for the private sector, they will not lease or rent pavers. So it was part of the requirement that we do the $14,500 per month just to offset that cost. But 15,000 would have been in our budget, so 14.5 works good for us. So we'll see this. It'll show up in springtime, all set up, ready to go. The training, because of the COVID, that's been postponed. That will be in Minnesota. But Fabic is working with MCC, and we'll be able to do a ride along this fall yet, just to see how it operates. And obviously, CAT will come and do training. They'll spend, as much time as we need on the paver when we first started out.
So the first year we're paying 174,000 because we're paying 14,500 a month.
Correct.
And what is the total cost of this paver when we end up with?
435,000. It lists for $544,187. Going through the government Sourcewell discounted price of 18%, it dropped it to $446,233, and CAT is going to go ahead and sell it to us for $435,000 final price, and we would apply $174,000 to it come January of 2021 to secure it and say, yeah, it's ours. That way we're not making the monthly payments along the way.
So you're paying that up front.
We're gonna pay it up front. I gotta just,
And then what happens the second year?
second year, we have it approved in our 2022 equipment budget to pay the paver off.
To pay it off? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're taking 174,000 off of 435,000, and that would be our final payment in 2022.
Right on. Right, Mark?
Yes, that's
Yep.
correct. So it's not costing us any more money to lease it for years if we would just buy it outright.
Questions, anybody? Everybody good?
Kind of the same process we went through with our bulldozer this year.
We have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve that.
Second it.
Motion by Fred Zog, seconded by Jim Nygaard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's huge. That's a big step for Wapaka County, buying a new paver. So
Well, it had to be done, and this is a no-brainer, the way this is.
This is the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
agenda item number 4 is to review and approve the town of Larrabee's 50/50 bridge aid petition for a culvert to be replaced on First Street, which is right on the border of city of Clintonville and in town of Larrabee, but it's in the town's portion. So we met with the town. We gave them a construction estimate to replace this. I believe it's a 60-inch culvert, 60-inch diameter culvert pipe. I got it right here. And the construction estimate with paving is going to be $28,000. And so the town is petitioning our bridge highway committee to take or not to exceed $14,000 in reimbursements for replacement of this large 72-inch diameter culvert pipe. Currently, there is a concrete one that has separated. So in between each one of the concrete joints, it's the earth is falling in and their shoulders are caving in. County Highway Department's going to perform the work, and they're petitioning for an overall project of $28,000. 50% of it would be not to exceed $14,000 of reimbursement to be done this fall, and we have not done it yet. So I just need a motion not to exceed $14,000 for Larrabee's 50 petition.
Need a motion.
So move.
I'll second that too.
Motion by Lee Mock, second by Jim Nygaard. All in favor?
All right,
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Our bridge fund, which has $54,000 added to it annually, is after we make all of the payments that have been approved, we'll be sitting at what, $73,000 or so will be in that account. When I started here, it wasn't being used a whole lot. Now it has been, and so you can see them funds being drawn down by the towns that are paying for it. So
It's not gonna get any cheaper. They might as well.
yeah,
Well, and I'm thinking that First Street, there's probably some traffic there. There's that big Friendship Valley Dairy right behind there, and it's right on the edge of town too. So yeah.
their shoulders have caved in because the pipe is junk and it's settling. I would imagine that old pipe is somewhere in the 1950s, 1960s, and it's beyond its useful life. We've got the DNR permits ready to go. We've got the 50/50 ready to go. Our crews are going to go there after we're done with Highway N, and that's our next big job.
Number 5, review and select RFQ selection committee, at least 3 voting members and assigned chairperson.
Yes. So if you can recall, on County Highway E between Wapaka and Ogdensburg, we were awarded a high-risk rural roads program dollar where the feds pay 90% and we pay 10% of adding safety features to Highway E. We just said putting rumble strips up the middle of Highway E isn't going to do it. Let's replace the pavement through that section before we add the rumble strips, because you add rumble strips in the middle 2 feet. Well, that whole process took place this last spring and last summer, and it's gotten to the point where I've sent out requests for qualifications to 10 engineering firms to design this safety improvement project, which it's not a reconstruct, it's just rumble strips and epoxy, but the feds require a design for it so that when it gets bid out, it can be apples to apples. And so I sent that out to these 10 firms. So far I've had 4 engineers contact me. I've met with 3 of them on the project. I've got 1 more lined up for next week, Wednesday afternoon. But once I get all of their booklets, we have to sit down and review the engineers, not to talk about cost, but we just have to look at who we feel is the most qualified, or who we choose to be ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like the top 5. And then I take that ranking and I send that to the state, and then the state negotiates our number 1 with that engineering firm. And if the state doesn't like that cost or what it's going to cost them to design it, they go to our number 2 and our number 3 and our number 4. Well, part of the red tape or the federal process is we have to have 3 voting members sit on this review process. I will be one of them. Greg Floor, our engineer, will be the other, our operations manager. But then I need to have 3 committee members. So what I'd like to do after Highway Committee, November 5th, is have 3 of you sit in here with me. And then Greg and I will make a recommendation to you. You can review all the books, but I need to have those 3 people on that committee. I don't know who can stick around.
I can do it.
That's fine.
Okay, so November 5th, Jim Nygaard, Lee Muck, and Chair Phil McClone will be the 3 that review these books with Greg and I. And then we rank them, and then Sue and I send that approved list voted by you to the state, and then the state starts negotiating a contract with the design firm. So, thank you.
Assign the chairs in person too.
Chair of that committee. I don't know if it wants to be just, any one of you want to be in the chair of that little subcommittee? Point Lee Muck here. Yeah, it does not matter.
Don't care.
Drive that all the times, we'll make you that one.
That's fine.
All right.
Okay.
You get to see the road because you're on it all the time. I'm gonna Wapaka. It does not matter, but it have to have a chair so that if there is any question that we did not follow the Fed process, you can be asked, did you vote on it? Was it recorded?
Okay.
And we're doing everything right, but
It ain't much, Lise.
Checks in the mail.
all right.
Personnel employees updates.
Agenda item number 6. We had a few employees that showed signs or symptoms, have been off. We're not doing too bad at all right now as a highway department.
Few. What's a few?
A few is, I think in those last week we had, or in the last 2 weeks since last highway committee, we've had 3 employees go and then 2 have already come back. No one's hospitalized, they're just playing it safe. They've been either in a contact or
Quarantine or have it, one or the other.
one or the other, yeah. So, no one's deathly ill.
Do they get, when they're quarantined, do they get paid?
They get paid a full 2 weeks,
80
up to 80 hours for quarantining and being away. If they have to be away again or a second time or longer, then they have 2 different options. They can, if they're off specifically to take care for the Family Medical Leave Act, to take care of children or a spouse or a family member, they can be off for, is it 12 weeks or 18 weeks?
12 weeks.
12 weeks at 2/3 of their pay, and they can elect to use their vacation. So that's one option, is if they're going to take,
What you're saying is if somebody quarantined for 7 days, then all once come down with it and has to be out, that's where that kicker.
a kicker adds to it, yeah,
They're having issues in the sheriff's department with that
for sure.
because people get sick. You're in close contact. So, okay, now they got to quarantine. They use up their time. Okay, but they're not sick, but they can't come to work. So now all of a sudden, if it happens the second, the third time,
Yeah.
it's been brought up at our committee. What are we going to do? How is it going to be handled? And nobody seems to know yet, but and it's an issue that could happen in the future. So,
Oh, yeah.
so our committee also knows that we're fortunate here because they're outdoors, they're separate. It doesn't work, but the sheriff, the jail system and the sheriff, and they're more contact and they're having some issues, but
Yeah, we see the post-correction today, Oshkosh and the Kettle Marine Prison. I mean, there's hundreds of cases.
yeah. So I just brought it up because it was brought up at our committee meeting also that,
We've seen nothing yet.
yeah, well, it's not gone away. It's not going to go away. So
At highway department, my plan, or the highway department's plan, is if a person is quarantining and is not showing signs or symptoms, they're just staying away and they have to plow snow, they're coming into work and they're plowing snow. They have to provide that public service. But if they are so sick, deathly ill, or whatever, that they cannot come, well, then I've got my foreman, my supervisors, my mechanics, myself, that'll be in a black backup truck to cover them plow roads. Lee Mock, yeah.
There's a difference now also between quarantine and isolation.
Well, but I just brought it up because it was brought up at that last meeting and, just so everybody's, it could be a mess. Fortunately, this highway shop is, they're outdoors, they're separated most time, so they don't pass it. But in a jail, they're in contact with each other. They have a little bit more, and he just brought it up to, hey, if this comes around the second time, the third time, and they're used up all and if you're only getting 2/3 of your pay, I mean, that starts hurting after a while to people. So he just brought it up and I just doing the same thing here. So, yeah.
Whatever the law is, whatever it is, we've got to follow it. That's it.
The nice thing here is the trucks have their assigned driver, their assigned route. So it's not necessarily somebody else jumping in right away and grabbing the steering wheel and the shift lever. It's that one guy and then whoever's doing some maintenance on that truck. That's it. So like you say, isolation. Right.
Okay.
Other things with agenda item number 6 is remember how we did not have that October training day? It just got canceled. So I went to the Larrabee shop and awarded Todd Hintz his 20-year service award, that 20 years. In Wapaka, was it yesterday morning? Chris has been with the county for 15 years here. Jimmy Fritz has been for 15 years. Kent Gerard has been with the department for 20 years. And then Dave Keenert has been with the department for 35 years. Still yet to go and visit our shop is Bruce Getch with, I believe, 20 years, or is it 35 years?
I think it's.
Whatever we put on in the notes, we better make it right. like 30 or 35 years. But he isn't in today. Otherwise, I would have had done that this morning. So I just want to recognize those employees that have been here.
How about my friend Roger Krieger?
We give these awards out to once they hit 15 years, and then we do it in 5-year blocks. So he's probably sitting in between year and not on a 5-year interval when we issue the awards.
I'm just kidding. 20, he's been around, what, 20?
Yeah.
20 plus anyway.
Well, when your birthday was the month that gave you, we got a sheet at the county board level, your longevity, but all of a sudden it stopped again. So I don't know if that and we haven't seen one lately but I thought that was neat because
Human Resources Department sends that out.
yeah. So I don't know if they just fell through the crack again but I thought that was, because oh my God, they've been here this long for the county, when their birthday came up, and I thought it was neat. So, yeah.
It's crazy how fast time goes. You all know it as well as I do. Yeah.
If you get old, Casey.
How many years you got, Casey, already?
This coming March will be 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
And in the county system, I started it'll be 15 years if I add my service to Shawano County.
Yeah.
So that comes pretty fast.
You're almost at retirement age.
hope you know what you're doing by now.
Okay.
I got a good team.
That's the best part of it.
So then agenda item number 7 is where we touch on a variety of things for project updates. This fall, our Paiser ratings are due. So I have a chance to go out and see every county road and then rate it, 1 being the worst, 10 being brand new. And I'm about 2/3 done with submitting the Wapaka County's Paiser rating to the state. That's one thing that's taken place. Just going on the commissioner's report, county board is taking place, is it next week, Tuesday, then the 27th? That's where they read the budgets and all the department stuff that's getting ready for the November vote. November 2nd, I got a Town of Union meeting is what I was thinking on going to attend it. Is that a Monday? November 2nd. It's got to be Monday afternoon.
Town meeting is going to be after election, not before election.
Okay.
So it'll be the 9th then, your meeting's gonna be.
Nice.
Right, because we're setting a town hall up for the election. We don't want to get it.
Oh, yeah. You
That's
can't, no.
Sure.
And then also the town of Helvetia has a meeting coming up here too. I want to start attending those like I do in the fall all the time, because just kind of you get feedback on snow plowing and horseshoes and everything. So that'll start going to them again. November 3rd is when the requests for qualifications from engineering firms are due. And then we're meeting here on November 5th at 9 a.m. for our next highway committee meeting. And then to follow that November 5th meeting will be the RFQ meeting. Okay. As far as traffic safety, there was one discussion that took place from a landowner on Highway 45 just south of Clintonville where it intersects with O and D. And he was concerned about when you're going south on Highway 45 out of Clintonville, right where there was a fatal accident there, this summer. He just wanted us to review that intersection for as many safety features as we can do. So I had Tony Chemnitz, the state traffic safety engineer, come and he did an evaluation of that intersection. And the only thing we're gonna look at doing is just replacing some stop ahead signs to make them more reflective and then put yellow strips down the posts. And then at one point that highway, our county highway had rumble strips and then we chip sealed over it. He made a suggestion, maybe you wanna put the rumble strips back in. But the fatal that occurred this last summer appears not to have been for them reasons. At the same point, we're gonna try to make as many improvements as we possibly can because the landowner adjacent is saying that vehicles have been ending up in his yard quite often. But most of that is Highway 45 traffic. It's not county traffic, so.
It is a very busy.
Busy intersection.
Yeah.
It's an at-grade intersection and yeah, it's unfortunate. As far as in our shop operations, we've got all but 6 plow trucks ready to start scraping snow off the road. We don't have the sanders and the salt spreaders mounted yet, but if we needed to snap them on the fronts just to start scraping, we could at least do some damage to the snow. Let's hope it doesn't happen anytime soon because we have to pave County Highway N here. We're looking at starting that next week, Tuesday, on County Highway N. And we're gonna start by the Little Wolf Town Hall and start paving east until we hit the end of the job. So that's a big project. We've spent a lot of money taking them soft clay soils and undercutting and adding breaker rock and fabric. And so the cost goes up when you try to stiffen a road up that much. And so I feel confident that we're gonna come in right about at par on December 31st. But you never know if we just have a brutal snow. So knock on wood, we're safe on the snowfall here this fall. But I might, it is what it is. I can't control Mother Nature and I can't control building a stiff road. We do what we gotta do.
How cold can it be next Tuesday when we pave and still be okay?
Ideally, it's nice to have the pavement weather 40 degrees or warmer, and it's supposed to not affect your asphalt mix. If you get below 40 degrees, they can add an additive to it to keep it softer longer so it doesn't get too cold.
Paving over anything but gravel, right?
We're just paving on gravel, yep. Yeah, and we're putting down the binder mix and we're using a surface mix because it's gonna sit for 2 years before that surface goes on. So we don't want them bigger stones underneath, which tend to open up in a year. So we're using a tight mix so it's sealed real good.
Next Tuesday, they're high of 37, Wednesday 41, Thursday 43.
Sneaking up on us, yep.
Right on the line.
We'll probably be okay, right? Even with a high of 37, I'm assuming your ground is warmer than 30.
And we have heated screeds and we have tarp boxes and it's a short haul from the Teal Pit to Manawa, so it won't get cold in the boxes. If we were hauling, 40 miles, that tends to cool them boxes down. So I think we'll be pretty safe. I know we're gonna be safe. I've done it before and
Thank you.
I've also plowed snow and in the afternoon paved that road in Shawano to get Main Street Tigerton done. And that helped.
Paved it and then plowed snow later that day on the same road.
1 week we did the 3 peeves. We plowed it, we paved it, and we painted it all in 1 week. But it had to get done.
Sure.
Then moving down into Our field operations, that Spalding Road project is done. It's been completed. It went without a hitch, so we're successfully done with that. We're leaving it in gravel. We're gonna pave it here next year. Administrative wise, not a whole lot of updates. Unless you got something from our office manager. Construction projects are chugging away. One of our projects this year was the County Highway C project between DuPont Cheese Factory and Little Falls. And that's the area where Town Chairman Gary Shane and Town Chairman Dave Barnick have both mentioned the scratches on the roads and the carbide horseshoes and the scuffing that's taking place. And I know we've discussed it at a highway committee level before, but I'm bringing it up as it being one of our construction projects from this year that have seen some scuffing and scarring, scratching. Comparing that wear and tear on our system to the snowmobiles or the horse riders. Right now, Reed Field has a horse ride going on, so they're going to be on the road where people actually ride on the horses. It's a discussion. Highway committee really should. I don't know.
Should we put a resolution together saying you can't use those kind on our?
Well, I need to create it as.
Want to research that other county, what they've been involved in, and go through Diane before you do something like
Yeah,
that.
this is a big deal. So.
Yeah,
Diane,
I'm uncomfortable with talking about it more because I don't even see C on the construction projects, and it wasn't part of any other discussion item on the agenda.
We will respect you and not talk anymore about it today.
Yeah, so we can put it on future items, but we've talked about it previously, and I'm very concerned about any restriction related to First Amendment practice of religion, which I think there's a pretty strong link between the Amish and how they farm and how they conduct their livelihoods. So that, and I've talked about that before. So thanks.
Casey, you can put that on a future agenda then.
I will create it, Sue, as an agenda item.
Thank you, Diane.
What would that, just discussion on it or?
Discussion on carbide horseshoes on our county roads for the November 5th meeting.
Really should.
All right, the next one is County Highway E, Constance Road to Fulton Street. Again, we're doing the RFQs. It's not talking about dollars, it's talking about engineers and who's most qualified, which it's hard for me to take 10 qualified engineers and say, here's who's the best for it. It's just almost impossible, but that's the process, especially with a real simple design that needs to be conducted for Highway E. County Highway I from 45, the Shawano County line needs its second mat. I was on it yesterday and it needs its second mat because it's starting to crack in the center line. We got to get that covered or we're going to have lost the mat that we put down. Phase 1 of County Highway N is the whole crews were just racing to get as much EMAT down today before it rained. I see the rain started now, so it's going to start getting muddy out there. We're anticipating to get 2 inches today on hills in clay. So hopefully we don't have any major blowouts from gully washers.
they were out there working. I took a ride down that way.
But that's every project, every year within Wapaka County. We always have that one that we're trying to finish up. So it's not abnormal, it just is what it is. But it's not sand country, it's all clay right now. Highway N Phase 2, which is our second section to be built in the year 2022. Right-of-way acquisition is still plugging away at it. And I've met with one landowner about borrow pits, and I'm looking at meeting with a second one to start getting stuff ready to go for that. County Highway O, State Highway 22 to dub the Triple O Supper Club. I met with the town chairman, Gary, and his supervisor, is it Walter?
Walter Street.
Walter. We looked at the discussion of Borrow Pit, which is a great location in my opinion. It's a 3/4 of a mile off of our road. We can use our off-road trucks, but we're going to be trucking up and down Cleveland Lane, which is owned by the town of Union. And so I know that when we go up and down Cleveland Lane, we're going to smash it. it's gonna get wrecked. And so we have to have a plan in place before we even smash it or wreck this quarter-mile section to replace it when we're done. And the town chairman and I had a brief discussion on it that, yeah, that's something we should agree on ahead of time. Is Cleveland Lane in the best brand-new shape right now? Not really. Is it gonna last for another 10 years? It could, but if our county crews truck up and down to get to this borrow pit with our off-road trucks, we better have a plan in place to cover those costs, to replace that section of Cleveland Lane. So I know we always go on fall tours or spring tours, but I'd like to at least take one of you up and down that road or Cleveland Lane and say, this is what I think the efficiencies of utilizing that pit in its location will outweigh the costs of replacing that quarter-mile section of road, which is what, 16 feet wide or 18 feet wide. It's just a 2-inch mat. We got to do something when we're done. So looking at all them stuff, but 2021's borrow pit discussion results in us looking at it now because we had to meet with the DNR. They approved the location. There's one stream cross culvert on a back road that we're gonna have to go over, and they gave us permission to add breaker rock over it to bridge the culvert so we don't smash it in. That one's not on Cleveland Lane, that's on the farm road going back in there. I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row so that we're ready to rock next summer. County Highway O from Island to T needs its second mat. Double O needs a second mat. Them are both being put on in 2022. Again, and move up if possible. It's always nice to get your roads finished. They just don't have the budget to do it. County Highway Q is getting started next year for paving. My surveyor Kyle has been out there collecting the center line topo. They pulverize it, grade it, gravel it, that he can lay it back out where it once was. Right now, over time, the paint, center line paint on the road is starting to track off where it's not the center line. So I told Kyle, make sure you shoot the center of the asphalt. Don't shoot the center of the paint because one lane in areas is 12 feet. Some areas it's 10 feet because the paint truck, slides. It's not even anymore. So we got to try to put it back in the middle of its subgrade.
How bad are those ditches there?
The ditches, mediocre. There's some fine tuning that could take place, but they aren't overly horrible. Not like N.
It varies. So some stretches are just fine, and other ones need some cleaning out and shaping. Yeah.
It's not a serious mess then.
It's not a monster job.
Okay.
It isn't remember Highway G north of Iola a couple years?
Yes.
We spent a lot of money on bulldozers and backhoes and construction before we even replaced the asphalt. This is probably half as bad, I would say.
It's just going to be some stretches here and there, I think.
Spot areas,
Big rocks in those same spots.
a lot of rocks, yeah.
Yeah.
Other things to discuss. I met with the town of Helvetia, town chairman. There was an area of road that we reconstructed in 2016 that was soft when we built it, and it's still soft today. And I said, we'll come back in and we'll dig it out and we'll make it hard next year. And so it's a 210-foot long section. So you can see where there's rutting occurring. And this is a job that they hired us to do in a clay area. And there's a dispute a little bit that said that it was in the springtime, they should have posted that road because it was more susceptible to being damaged. And some farm manure haulers went through it. And in that one area where we already knew it was soft, it showed its susceptibility to rutting. And so
Is that Swamp Road or what road?
that's Swamp Road, just north of 161. Yeah. I have an area.
We didn't do all the work there, did we?
We did all the work. Yeah. Yep. We rebuilt that road. They hired us to do a construction project. But I said, yep, it failed within 3 years. It was failing right when we paved it. So let's fix it. Have no updates on the right-of-way acquisition discussion we had from last month, other than I've talked to treasurer and just to kind of get some price per acres stuff lined up. If they're going to buy a chunk of land from our Helvetia shop property. So that's kind of being discussed. Anything you guys have? Otherwise, I think I'm pretty well done for the commissioner's report.
Anybody have any concerns, anything? Okay.
That I noticed on, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm really reviewing our equipment revenues over expenses right now. I'm reviewing that before I show you guys where it's at because something just doesn't feel right. I felt that our department has been busier than last year, doing more work than last year. Our iron has been running more often than last year, but the chart that I'm getting on revenues over expenses and making a profit is just going down. So I'm going to review that chart and just double check with it before I present the financial reports like I do sometimes. Something isn't feeling right. And when you got something that don't feel right, you don't want to show people yet. So I'll show that November 5th. It just seems like we had, $5.9 million worth of capital projects and we've been running with our heads off. But yet we're using our equipment less and it might be a calculation error. It might be something, but if it's truly a decrease in our revenue over expenses, I want to know why, because we've worked more. So that's all I got, Joe.
Okay, our next meeting is November 5th.
Yep.
And then we've got another meeting after that meeting. And so I need a motion to adjourn.
Ooh,
Second.
Motion by Fred Zog, seconded by Lee Muck to adjourn. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Bye, Dick. Bye, Diane. Bye, Mark.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I can hear you all very, very good this time. Whatever you did for your meeting I can just hear everybody so clear.
Nice.
Yeah, we bought a $3,500 upgrade to our speaker camera system.
We're going to be doing this
Well,
for
it
a
works
year,
great.
Dick, so don't worry.
It works great.
Hi, Dick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris better than Chris.
He's done.